Welcome to another program on the Veterans of Cedar Valley. My name is Sid Morris, and my guest today is Armand McCormick. I got your name right, I think.
Pretty close. Armand
Pretty
McCormick.
close.
Yeah,
Okay.
good enough though.
Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, sir.
Our show today is featuring another veteran who has received a Medal of Honor of some sort, and you got the Silver Star.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to be talking about that today. But before we get into the details of that particular, of the Silver Star, I'd like to have you give us a little history. Where are you from, and how did you come to Cedar Falls, and give us a little history of where you grew up and that sort of thing.
Yes, sir. Grew up in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. That's where I was born. Well, I was born in Keosauqua, Iowa, but my mom moved to Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and then grew up there. Two sisters. Graduated high school in 2000. I knew I wanted to be in the military for a long time. Right. My father was in the military. He was a reservist and National Guards guy, and I don't know, it was just something that always interested me. Right. I wrestled, played some football when I was a kid, and the Marine Corps was kind of the route that I wanted to go for a long time. And I went right into the Marine Corps directly out of high school. And matter of fact, I ended up in Cedar Falls because when I got out of the service, I wanted to go to school and possibly go back in and get a commission. Things didn't work out the way originally thought, but that was kind of the plan.
Well, good. And then you attended school then in what school did you attend?
I came here to Cedar Falls and attended UNI from, let's see, I got here in 2004, did my undergraduate studies. I believe I graduated with my master's in 2008.
Okay. So then you enlisted in the Marine Corps, and tell us about that.
I enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2000 as soon as I graduated high school. Would have been June. Went straight to boot camp and did my thing there for 13 weeks. I originally was a security force guy, which basically I got sent up to the Kitsap Peninsula in Seattle, Washington, or outside of Seattle, Washington, and kind of guarded nuclear weapons up there. Wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. Ended up going down into Camp Pendleton to 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division, and that's where I was an infantryman at.
And okay, and then after following your basic training, you were assigned then to oversee duty.
Yeah, we actually before any of the wars or anything went on, we actually did a Far East tour in Asia. Went to Japan and went by the Philippines. We went to Korea. Where else did we go? We went to all sorts of countries over there. Did some training, did some high ropes training, some jungle training, things like that. And
showing you can see that now where you're doing some training.
Yeah, that would have been.
Tell us about that.
That's right. There's in Japan. That's some of our high ropes training where you're above the canopy in the jungle. You're pretty darn high. It doesn't really look like we're attached to anything, but we're definitely attached by safety harnesses. So that right there is some training that we did over in Japan. Okinawa actually is the island in Japan that we trained at mostly. I was on a ship over there in the USS Essex.
Well, then following your training, then you were assigned to Iraq.
Yes, sir. We came back actually from that Far East tour, and within a year and a half, we were over in Kuwait. We flew a C-5, a military plane, over into Kuwait in February of 2003 is when we got there. Stayed there for about a month and a half, and just dug into fighting holes when we stayed out in the desert. in fighting holes on a defensive perimeter for, like I said, about 90 days. And then we got the call to cross the line of departure into Iraq on March 20th of 2003.
Is that right? March 2003.
2003.
And where in Iraq did you go?
We traveled, my unit actually, would have been the 5th vehicle into country of ground forces. We traveled from the very southern tip of Iraq, from Kuwait all the way up to the northern, one of the most northern towns in Iraq.
Okay. And what was your assignment there?
Well, our assignment, sir, was basically seek and destroy throughout the entire country. We took what we called Highway 1 from the very southern tip, like I said, to the far north. We traveled through multiple towns, crossed both rivers, the Euphrates, the Tigris, went into multiple towns, got into a few battles on the way through, went through Baghdad. It's kind of, by the time we got about 2/3 the way north is when the war kind of started to decrease. There wasn't a whole lot of offense coming from the enemy anymore. So,
let's talk about your experience and your Silver Star and what was happening to get you that award.
Yes, sir. It would have been actually March 24th or March 25th, 2003, just 5 days after we crossed the line of departure. We took off. We were in our wagon wheel. I guess we called it wagon wheel defense because we traveled as a convoy with 4 armored tanks ahead of us, and then I was in a weapons company unit, and I typically manned the 50 cal outside the turret, and the ground troops and the 0311s is what we call them, riflemen, basic riflemen in the Marine Corps. They were all in troop carriers, armored troop carriers, and at 0200 Zulu on March 25th, to be honest, for the last 5 days we were super bored because there wasn't a whole lot of offense going on, and it was boring because we were going 20 kilometers an hour in our vehicles for 5 days straight without really even firing our weapons. So we started getting a little, you got a bunch of guys together and out in the desert hanging out for 2 months, and you get a little goofy, and so we started joking around a little bit, almost like war wasn't really going on. It was kind of a joke to us, and so we kind of changed things up that day. 0200 rolls around, we go get our brief for the day and our mission. We take one of the guys from one of the trucks, we put him on our truck. I decided that I would drive that day, and our driver ended up manning the gun that day. And as soon as we took off, like I said, we were the fifth vehicle. There was 4 tanks ahead of my truck because the platoon commander was actually in my vehicle. He was the vehicle commander. And there a berm, a man-made berm, was on the right side of the road that we were traveling. And my lieutenant, Chantage, made a call out to the tanks saying, hey, watch this berm to the right side. It's unusual, it's man-made. Within a few seconds, we started taking small arms fire and mortar fire and RPGs, and then it was on. And the tanks buttoned up, they stopped. Their standard operation and procedure would be to turn the guns at the enemy, the direction of fire, and do a volley fire. Well, we needed to push through the kill zone. And so we got the tanks out to push forward. They pushed forward. Most of our convoy had stopped before the kill zone, but the convoy, us and a few of our trucks that were in the kill zone, we had to push. Instead of my truck pushing, my lieutenant told me to travel into the berm, which is where all the fire was coming from. So I took the only avenue of approach into the berm, which was obviously manned by their machine guns. And the guy on top of our truck now was, at the time, he was Corporal Franklin. He he free gunned it, pulled the pin, free gunned it, neutralized both machine gun bunkers, and we dismounted the Humvee, went into the berm, behind the berm, I guess, into a trench, and we decided to small arms clear the trench out.
Oh, and that was the. How did you come out? I mean,
Well, we came out. We all ran out of ammunition. We, other than the 2 machine gun bunkers that were neutralized by our machine gunner on top. Our machine gunner actually stayed in the turret and did cover fire to our backside as we cleared the trench the other direction. And I mean, we shot and killed multiple enemy, and we all ran out of ammunition, picked up enemy weapons, and used them. And then by the time we cleared probably 150 to 200 yards, it was time to start coming back to our truck, because in the Marine Corps, what the rest of our unit is going to do is clear the trench coming from the other direction. They're going to develop towards the middle. And so we had to get out of there so we didn't take friendly fire as well. So after we cleared 200, we completely neutralized what was going on. And then we beat feet back to the Humvee, went north more to try and clear more of the trench beyond the kill zone.
Yeah. When were you given your award? When did you first know that you had earned an award such as a Silver Star? Do you recall what that?
You know, I didn't know. I didn't get the award for, let's see, 2000. That was in March 25th of 2003. I was due to get out of the Marine Corps in June of 2004, and instead I extended my contract to go back overseas with some guys, and I did not receive the award until the day I was supposed to fly back to Iraq, which would have been in May of 2004.
Is that right?
So it was a year. It came down that we were getting an award, I don't know, probably 6-7 months. We didn't know what it was. I mean, it could have been could have been nothing. It could have been a ribbon, or it could have been a certificate. Right. You know, we didn't know at the time, and you know, those things are so political. They go up and down the chain of command, and somebody that doesn't even have any idea of what it feels like to be tired and hot and sweaty out in the middle of a desert is going to be the guy that check marks the box that says, yeah, this works, or it doesn't. So, you know, is it worth what I got? I don't know. Is it less than what I should have got? I don't know. You know, who knows? So, but we knew something was going to come down, and ended up that they wanted me to stay back with a battle buddy and receive this award on the same day that all my other guys that I was serving with went overseas. So I stayed back, and my father actually was in Iraq at the time. They flew him back. They flew my mom out from Iowa to California to 29 Palms, actually, because the original unit that I got the award with was training in 29 Palms. And then they flew the Commodore of the Marine Corps and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps in to the 29 Palms, and we received it right there.
So your dad was in Iraq too?
My dad and I flew back to Iraq the next morning after I received the medal. Flew back to Iraq the next morning together.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Was he in the military? Was he a
he was in the Army Reserves at the time.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Well, what a story.
Yes.
And so you know, I sat here listening to your story, and you know, I was in Korea, and I can remember we had never thought about medals, or you know, it was hardly ever presented on the battlefield or even near that period of time, and so that's unique.
Yeah.
And so anyway, well, very good. And what are you doing now that you're out of the service and that sort of thing?
Well, I got out of service, came home, went to UNI, graduated with a master's degree from University of Northern Iowa. Started working for XL Sports Acceleration, training young athletes in high school and middle school age athletes. And then within that, I developed I opened up a CrossFit affiliate. So I own I'm the director of XL Sports Acceleration and own CrossFit Kilo, and we built a gym out in the industrial park in Cedar Falls. Have a wife and 2 young boys, and that's my life now. So.
Well, we have just a minute left to conclude today. I do want to thank you for coming and being a part of the program today. That was a very unique story, and thank you very much for your service.
Thank you, sir.
And we hope that we can get you connected with some veterans groups in the area, and also Grout Museum, and because they do a lot for veterans at the Grout Museum too.
Great.
So anyway, thank you for being on today, and we hope we can hear more about your experiences in Iraq.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you betcha. Thank you. We'll be back later with another program on Cedar Valley, Veterans of Cedar Valley. Thank you.